cordial and a mature conversation, but of course you are free to interject whenever you feel like. If at all you feel that Madaliso has missed out something very pertinent, and before you could lose your thoughts, you can respectively so interject and submit. But as you submit, it has to be well summarized. But again, I'll be giving each one of you at least 2 minutes to give your submission depending on the question I'll be phrasing to each one of you. That is clear to all of us.
Yes.
Thank you. I'll start with, let me start with a higher position, that of a president. That's Madam Saoi Imboila. Let's look at Zambia where it is today. And of course, we will not ignore the fact that the country is in a mourning period. Of course, the national mourning was cancelled, but we should not ignore the fact that we lost a former head of state in the name of Dr. Edgar Chagwa Lungu. That was on the 5th of June 2025, getting to 2 months now from the time he died or he passed on in the Republic of South Africa. But again, what is quite disturbing is that the body or the remains of Iseo have not been buried. What went wrong? What did we go wrong as a country? And how do you remember Iseo in your capacity as NDC president, who interacted with the former head of state within 2 minutes?
Okay. First and foremost, I remember Iseo as a very, very jovial person, and a very, very generous person, and a person who was very willing to give advice, He was a person who, when you sat with him, he would tell you exactly what he thought he did right, what he did wrong, and he would tell us to say, if we form government, we should do ABCD, ABCD. Because I think that when we had the opportunity to do to run the country, this is where we went wrong and this is where we could have done better. So I remember him as that kind of a person, because politicians sometimes we want to come out as if we're perfect and we're not. So that to me is something that really, really stood out. His generosity, like I've said, I think I've shared before to say there were people that he would help without even them knowing that he was the one helping them. Something would go wrong, and maybe I post something myself, let's say in the group that we're on, the WhatsApp group, and oh, this has happened. And then he'll be quiet, and then 5 minutes or 10 minutes later, we hear him say, okay, Saboy, can you call my KB, this is and that, let this person be helped out. And the person will be helped out without even knowing the person behind it, without even knowing that the legal fees have been paid and everything. This man has done it. So that's kind of a person he was. So to cut the long story short, he was a father. So out of all the positions and everything, I remember him simply as a father. And for me also, that is even maybe the reason why he did not anoint anybody by the time he was dying, because at some point we were thinking, why isn't he choosing somebody? Why isn't he endorsing somebody so that, the country starts running, we have this big opposition and everything. But he died before he endorsed anybody. Why? Because I think to him, everybody was a child. It was a child, and everybody was a child, and I think he wanted to leave that opportunity for everybody to do whatever it is that they could do. So coming back to the body now, I think it's a very, very unfortunate situation. And for me, what went wrong, I think from the onset is what definitely went wrong. Just when he died, I think that animosity between the government and the former head of state's family, I think it was very, very uncalled for. They should have by all means ensured that they left the mourners to mourn. So at first, I think the statements that came out were very bad. I think I remember Honorable Mari Teta, Honorable Alicia Matemba, and a good number of UPND cadres did issue bad statements. But at some point, we saw the national chairperson, this one Niso, and the Secretary General, Batuke Imenda, giving a command to say, don't issue statements apart from me. That was a good thing. It was done a bit late, but it was a good thing. And from there, we saw things now changing, So we all know that the relationship between President Lungu and President HH were not the best of relationships. In the past, when a president and an incumbent or an incoming, when they did not get along, at least they always reconciled before one died. We have a sad situation where President Lungu and President HH, they never reconciled before he died. So that left us in a very, very bad situation as a country. Because when they were alive, I think a good number of us would always say, I wish these two could reconcile. Their reconciliation could have meant so much for this country. But sadly, it never happened. And that enmity and the bad blood and everything, I think we have seen now it extending, because now the people that remained also were saying this is what you would have wanted. Then the other side also we're seeing the kinds of things that were coming out. So I think sadly this is where it's at the moment, because two people, I think they failed to reconcile when the time was there to reconcile. And I think the UPND and the PF, we know the history between the red and the green. You know, a lot of things in the country, I think, are what they are even now because of red and green. You know, so for me, it's my prayer up to now that something somehow is resolved.
Right.
Because I am one of those people, again, up to now, I still stand on the fact that I would really, really love to see President Lungu being buried in Zambia. So I hope whatever it is that is going on, somewhere, somehow, egos should be more or less like, what is this, neutralized, if, for lack of a better word, or egos should, people should come down, whatever it is. And somewhere, somehow, you know, we're all Zambians. We all belong to this country. We should unite, we should love each other. And all those things, you know, forgive each other, whatever it is that it takes, and then maybe that can happen. If it doesn't happen, it will be a sad situation. But if it happens, I think it will be very good for all of us if President Lungu is buried back here in Zambia.
Interesting. Let's hear from Dalitso Tembo, the spokesperson for the CF.
Thank you so much. It's a sad state of affairs first. That's what I would say, because I think a lot of people were very enthusiastic that they needed to see the body come in and him be buried and given the kind of a state funeral that everyone wanted. It's unfortunate because the enmity that existed between the late president and also the incumbent president, HH, it's very clear. And it's very certain in the eyes of the people. And because of such levels of enmity, look at where we are today. And if you ask the question at what is wrong, what caused it, the simple way to read is that enmity. And then we need to know that that enmity, what damage has it brought, both to the people, to the family, and also to the government. And what are the causes that have come out of that? You know, a lot of people have been left in a situation where they don't know what is happening. And they're still grieving, even if people have decided to move on, but there's still that kind of a thing because they want closure. And the closure that they needed was to see a man that saved this country for 7 years. He was a statesman. And when we are to define what a state is a group of people that have been elected for political reasons to do what? To govern for a prescribed period of time. So he was given that mandate for the 7 years, and the Zambian people had given him that. So it was just right that he be given such kind of an honor because he was a statesman. He did save this country. And if we say what should be done to that, I think it's about time that one should play a big brother. And we expect President HH to have played a big brother in this case. If the family, looking at where we are coming from as Zambians and as our culture, you know, if innocent, you and I, when I say innocent, the enmity that is there, I wouldn't want you to come to my funeral. And my family have heard that. You just have to respect that because that is our culture. You understand? It is our culture, and I'm sure you have to work with other people and to allow other people to do what? To attend on your behalf. And we expected that to have been seen in our president. He should have played to be a big brother so that he could have harmonized this and we could have seen so much sanity and that our late president, Edgar Chagwalungu, would have been given the burial that was much deserved. It wouldn't even have dragged into the issues that we're looking at, the courts, which has embarrassed this country to the core. It has dragged on, and are we happy about it? No.
Right.
We are not happy about it. When we look at the late president, he had a lot that he had done for this country, and he deserved as much respect as much as possible. But when we look what is there, it's like we've been taken for jokes. And the Zambian people that actually gave the power to them, they've been taken for jokes because there is no courtesy to even listen to what the Zambian people want. And the Zambian people, they begged to say, we want him to be buried in this country. Just for that, one should have been able to do what? To reason and do, because that is the will of the people, the very people that voted and gave you the power.
Right.
Yes.
Interesting. Let's hear from Comrade Piri Olivia there.
Thank you, Comrade, and thank you, viewers. First and foremost, what happened to President Edgar Chagwalungu is a big disgrace for a nation. And it is really an indication of failed leadership in the country, because all goes to, I would call it his leadership. And then also what Edgar Lungu went through, the legal remediation when he was living until to his death. It's very sad and it's inhuman. Okay, so to me, really, I think let us be clear. The family didn't want to bury the former head of state in South Africa. It was circumstances. I think that caused the family also to get to that level. And I think let's tell the truth to the people. The problem, we are being ruled through propaganda, and everything is propaganda. As a result, we have all become propaganda at the end of the day, because we have to counter to the propaganda that we are being ruled about. And it's so sad that, to me, I want actually to advise, especially those that are aspiring for higher office. It takes, you need to have a heart. One, you must learn to forgive. You must move on. And I want to clear something, I think, which a good people have talked about. Let's talk about the history of these two leaders.
Right.
Both Edgar Lungu as president and HH as opposition leader then. I think that difference that has not been done,
Right.
it has made people to feel like really there's something that needed to be done. First and foremost, when President Isiya was president, HH was just an ordinary political leader, just like President Sawoi here.
Right.
How did he behave towards his president then? You get my point, eh? One, President HH never recognized Isiya as president. It is there, records are there. And he said it on every podium, he did not recognize him. It's so shocking now that in his death he's recognizing him. Then let's get back, when now tables have turned, what led to whatever HH went through? How was his behavior also towards his friend as a leader then? You get my point? Which to me, I think to some extent, Isiya was forced at some point, I think, to move in and do certain things to put him in order. And I think Zambians should not have a short history. So let's get back now, tables have turned. HH is a president.
Yeah.
Then he was just an ordinary party leader. So there's a difference. Now that he's president, Isiya becomes a former head of state. But was Isiya given that respect that he deserved as a former head of state? The answer is no. Look at the humiliation he went through from both the UPND cadres, the insults. It's there. They would call press conference, including the president himself. Look at how he treated him. To me, really, the moment President HH won as president, there was one thing he needed to do, to become a leader of a nation, not a political party. That's where the problem is. So even now, we perceive him as a UPND leader, not a national leader, because he's sidelined and he's got a way of treating the UPND. This is why you see even certain issues are not done properly. And that we have arrived where we are because of lack of leadership. The issue here was very simple. Right. The moment President Isiya died, first, I think, like what my other colleagues have said, there was need for reconciliation. Those two were never friends. They never saw eye to eye. They never liked each other. They were never close. It's different from the previous presidents. I can testify, I think, on the Michael Sata and Arabi. Even when they would argue politically, those people would talk outside that. And that's why we saw even at some point when Sata was sick, Arabi was able to evacuate him. You get my point? Because it takes to be human. You need to know that at some point it's time for politics, it's time to do the right thing. Yeah, so now the problem that was there, Isiya lived outside this country for 6 months. Where was the state to look for the former head of state while he was living? Did they bother? Did they worry? Did they want to know what was going on? All we saw was propaganda from all these state media on. They write this, they mock the family, they do whatever, which was very sad.
Right.
And then now, the guy passes on.
I want you to conclude.
He passes on from nowhere. There's that love. From nowhere, he's become a darling. He's become a friend. Comrade, I think let us be real. Let us try to be honest with ourselves and with our dealings. This issue would have been avoided. The moment Isiya died, what was wrong with the state sitting down with Isiya's party? Calling them, let's sit down and do that. But the problem was, first they sidelined his party and recognized the person who UPND themselves has put as a leader of PF, which is Chabinda. We saw it, and the family was read, former heads of state and other foreign heads of state sat down to resolve this issue. and they agreed. If you remember, the area program which the family wanted, they wanted his body to go to Kitwe. From Kitwe it goes to Petauke, then it comes to Lusaka. They reached a consensus, they compromised, saying, okay, we agree it will just be in Lusaka, but the terms that we want are as follows, which they agreed with the people that were sent. But we were surprised, Innocent. The day that the body was supposed to arrive, a day before, a road to Chifweme was closed. That for renovations, which up to now we've not seen those renovations. Second, a new program was released that brought a lot of uncertainty and discomfort to the family, because what was agreed was breached by the state itself. So today, let us not come and start blaming the Lungu family or the PF. The state mismanaged this whole issue. And what should be done? To me, let us respect the wish of the dead. Because in Zambia, there is no law that was enacted on how presidents should be buried. So first, let us come up with a presidential burial act that should prevent any of our government to go and use like what is happening to weapon others or to be able to champion others. Because what is happening here, it's a battle that has continued. It's unfortunate. Israel should have rested in peace. So when the family realized, and we saw, I think other presidents aware said, the UPND actually predicts whatever they are planning, there will be somebody that will bring it out to the open. I think there was at one time where they said the army commander has said once the body comes, they'll take over and whatever. And it's exactly that program that we saw when they planned. So this family now had to come up with an alternative, because if that body had arrived, believe me, you would have had another circus where either the family would have not attended the burial, then the state would have taken over. Because to me, this thing of feeling the state owns a human being, it is not there. Which law are they using? Because before I become a politician, I am a family. I have my family.
Thank you so much. I'll come back to you, Olivia. Let's hear from Executive Director, Madam Katoto.
Thank you very much, Innocent. It's very interesting listening to politicians as they speak. And obviously me coming from civil society and as a think tank, part of our work is to think. And to think critically and without bias, without subjectivity, in objectivity. I like some of the sentiments that have been echoed here insofar as cultural expectations when there is a bereavement. I also love the fact that when somebody passes on or transition, that does not make them immune to who they are or to who they were and some of the things that they did. So from that perspective, when we look at the discourse of where the incumbent president and the former president, we need to understand the uniqueness of this relationship and the dynamic. The former president is the first who has died whilst in active politics. I think everyone that has passed on, there was a time when KK came back into politics. I think we saw that happen in 1996. And we've seen presidents try to, enter politics, but they have not passed on whilst in active politics. So here's the takeaway, Innocent, which I want, I think, for my colleagues here to appreciate, and as well as the Zambians. When you enter the environment of politics, expect to be criticized, expect to be treated as a political opponent. So when the UPND started to make certain statements, right, they were within the confines of political playing. And we expected, of course, for ECL, there were people who were saying, no, he should act as the father of the nation and simply give advice. But the minute he stepped into the ring, he lost that. And he was, of course, we all, as a think tank, expected him to do what he was doing, which was, of course, come into this ring and share his ideals. And where he feels he needs to tackle the opponent, he does it. So with that backdrop, I think it is very important to understand that whatever was happening in that ring is part of political play. It is part of political discourse. And it is the name of the game in politics. You have politicians, speaking to each other about different aspects, attacking each other in some cases, in as much as we wouldn't want them to keep attacking each other, but this is what they do. And so to apportion blame on the UPND government of attacking ECL when this kind of discourse dictated that the UPND should view ECL as a political player is unfair. I repeat, unfair. I think we need to be objective. Secondly, the issue of the funeral. Here's our takeaway from this. This funeral is a funeral like no other. And at family level, when one loses a family member, it is personal. Right. It is personal. You and I, Innocent, and everyone on this panel, in this studio, knew ECL as ECL. In just one component. Some knew him as a political comrade. Others knew him as a political figure. Others knew him as the ECL, the one who was once a member of parliament, who ascended. But the family knew the real ECL before he became all of these things that he became, including the president of this great republic. And so for the family, it is absolutely unfortunate that this funeral has been marred with what it has been marred with.
Right.
Because for them, it's personal. It is not ECL as a president. No. It is not ECL as any other. It is ECL, the human being. ECL at his highs, at his lows. Things that you and I were not privy to. The family experienced it. Before ECL even entered politics. A father, a husband, an uncle, a brother. That is ECL. So here's my point. Yeah. The point I'm trying to drive home. Where all this went south is when there was infiltration of political party interest into family interest. I think when you are dealing with a funeral, first and foremost, yes, he belonged to the political party. Yeah. My colleagues here have been on record just now as saying ECL did not belong to Zambia. He's not owned by Zambia, but the family.
Who said that?
So this one has been agreed upon to say the family should take precedence.
All right.
So if we agree that the family should take precedence, then the family should be left to make decisions. With all due respect to political party, which he so loved and belonged to.
Which you can't separate.
You can separate it in the mere fact that at the end of the day, if we are advising that political parties should respect the family, then charity begins at home. Let the patriotic front as well respect the wishes of the family. Here's where we need to move forward. Innocent, forgiveness is not for the offender. Forgiveness is for the one who's offended. I'll tell you now, as long as you don't forgive, the one who gets to swallow that poison and gets eaten up is the one who harbors unforgiveness.
Right.
Forgiveness is not to the deserving. Forgiveness is to free yourself from the hurt and bitterness. Whenever there is a passing of a loved one, culturally, you first and foremost respect the one that has transitioned. Right. In this case, ECL.
Yes.
And then after the burial, you now bring up all these issues that need to come.
Right.
But here's the thing. Let me just conclude.
Okay, just before you conclude, there's a
I think
then I'll come back to you.
The speaker is contradicting
Thank you.
herself in one or another. Of course, I think he's coming out like speaking on behalf of UPND is unfortunate. But since you have declared to speak on behalf of UPND, you must be
I think it's important
No, wait a minute.
To know that I should be protected from such baseless accusations.
It's not baseless. You have indicated it. And
Okay.
throughout, you are
problem,
speaking on
Innocent.
behalf of UPND,
No
which is
problem,
very
Innocent.
unfair.
Thank you.
Okay?
So,
to me, I
Olivia,
thought you
need to
coming.
clarify as you.
I'll clarify
as
where I'm
accuser that
saying.
she's
I'm not. It's
speaking
not
on behalf of the
accusation
UPND. How would
because
you
herself
substantiate
she's
that?
called
That's a
us to
question.
be
That's a question.
unfair, and she's speaking on behalf of UPND. I think in her submission, she's
What is
indicated that.
so
So now, to me, what I
you substantiate that?
no, how I'll
Maybe
substantiate
that is
that.
a concern.
Her concern, she was responding on behalf of UPND, not as an ordinary
How
citizen.
do you determine
because
that?
She says one, we are all unfair here, and we cannot put the blame to UPND. Who should we put the blame? Who is in charge of this country? So first and foremost, I'll tell you, Innocent, the state failed morally, politically, and legally
According
to manage.
your opinion?
Ready?
Your opinion?
Yeah, so to me, what
your
I'm saying,
opinion
the
is
state
better?
failed legally, politically, and also morally on
Right.
this issue.
Thank you so much.
Okay,
Well, just basically
so
a
we
brief
cannot come and
interjection.
pretend
I
to
think
say
it needs
that
to be brief, Innocent.
wait a minute. We cannot come and pretend, and who should we blame? We can't always continue.
Okay, you've made your point. You've made your point. Let's hear from her now. As you conclude.
I will not delve into the back and forth.
Right.
I think
So be
we
clear
are
with your
too
submissions.
progressive for such kind of discussion. I think as we are here, the viewers and everyone, the world that is watching, expects more from us. So with that being said, I'll proceed as though undisturbed. And so my conclusion, the point that I was making is, moving forward, can we please have some resolution? I think there are too many voices, and I can sympathize with the family. They must be under such enormous pressure.
Right.
There are contradictory advice coming from different sections of society. There is a civil society. We look in as things are happening. And usually when you separate yourself, you see clearly. And that is why it's unfortunate that some of our clear views such as this are labeled. Believe me, if I was saying something different, if I was singing from the same hymn sheet as the speaker next to me, I would have been praised. And because it's different, their first accusation is they're speaking for UPND. We've seen this. We are not new in this game.
I hear you.
Thank
you so
Innocent.
much.
Thank
I'll
you.
come back to you. Olivia, I can't come back to you. Let's move on.
Where were they in
Comrades.
civil society when you say went through what
We've been
Well,
here.
you can't speak
Even
for the
us when we
authority.
are going through what we are going through, where are they?
Innocent.
You were jumping
Innocent.
into
Are we
that. Thank you so much, comrades. Let's move on.
Are we protected?
Now, my next question would be to all of you, a minute each. I'm happy that President Sawoi Mbwela, you are the only one who actually spoke within the 2 minutes I gave you. So let's keep the 2 minutes, comrades.
No, emulate.
Exactly. So my next question
Emulate.
to all of you is, let's compare the legacy of ECO to that of the current administration or the current head of state. Let's just give a quick comparison in that regards.
Okay, a quick comparison.
Yeah.
It's very good that, or funny, that I actually did something like that on my Facebook page just some 2 days ago.
Right.
And I hope people take time to go and see what exactly I wrote. I actually started from 1964 to now.
Right.
So I made a comparison from KK all the way to HH. You know, successive governments have had their own success and their own failures. You know, so you look at things to say here, where are they doing right? You know, where are they going wrong or going right in this manner? So since it's just a comparison before the previous one and this one, I'll start briefly with the economy. I think I expected in terms of GDP to be going a little bit higher than it is right now. President Church is an economist, so I really expected better from him. I think the economy, I'm not impressed. When it comes to agriculture, I'm not impressed. You know, people out there, when they watch us, they like to say, the opposition, you condemn everything, you know. I have clearly said that when it comes to what is this violence, okay, I am at least okay with the UPND. You get the point? Violence has not completely been eliminated, but it has significantly been reduced. Okay, you can go for a by-election now. You're going to see some pockets of violence, but under the PF, sadly, when you went for by-elections, you didn't know whether they're going to come back alive or not. It was that bad. So when it comes to violence, it's one area where the UPND have actually scored. Okay, what is this? Free education. I normally tell people yet again to say, when I joined the UPND, one of the reasons why I joined was because of free education. I strongly believe in education and that it's a way out for Africa as a continent. We educate this continent, we're going to liberate ourselves. So free education for me is a way to go. We have seen the Namibian president has declared free education from 1 all the way to university, and they're starting next year. It's a good thing. Here, they've done that, but they've not done it up to university. And also, you move around in most of these schools, you're going to find that children are sitting on the floor. So teaching and learning materials are not there. So they need to do it in such a way that free education is a free but quality education. President HH himself is well known for saying that education is an equalizer. That's one of the famous quotes that comes from President HH, where he says education is an equalizer. And for real, education is an equalizer. But the kind of education which is happening right now in Zambia, the free education, it's not. It's actually widening the disparities, you know. It's really widening it, because it will be very hard for students, for learners to learn and the teachers to teach, because of 150 students in classes and stuff like that. And the reason why, by the way, I analyzed Zambia from 1964 to now is because if we form government as NDC in 2026, whether with alliance partners or whatever, collision, whatever situation we'll be in come 2026, we should know to say, okay, where did our friends go wrong or right? Because the sad part in Zambia, we have what is termed as policy reversal. Whoever comes in wants to show as if the previous one did not do right. So they want to reverse everything, including the good and the bad. You know, the PF scored in some certain places. The UPND are scoring in some certain places. The PF messed up in certain places. The UPND is messing up in certain places. So we need to differentiate between politics and governance in this country. There's also what they call administocracy. Administocracy is a clear separation of politics from administration. In Zambia, we don't have that clear separation of politics and administration. Everybody wants to be a politician. It's a reason why, even when politicians are doing their work, okay, it's highly condemned by the public, you know. Even when civil servants are doing their work, it's highly condemned, because you don't know from what angle somebody is doing their work. But once we know to say this is a situation, trust me, we're going to have a better country. When I talk to my friends, for example, in the UK, they say in the UK, even when they're launching a road, for example, a school or even a hospital, politicians have to beg to be there. You be there, but this thing is happening in the Munadi constituency, and I'm the MP for Munadi, I'm a minister. Can I please come? If they allow you to come, you go and be part of it. If they say, no, don't come, you're not part of this, you won't go there as a politician. But in Zambia, we go in, and even during campaigns, you find successive governments, not just the UPND, even during campaigns, they even tell you to say, they tell the people, if you don't vote for us, we're not going to bring development here. Why would you do such a thing? You know, so Zambia, number one, I think our public education has failed us as a country. Because it has failed us, the politicians are failing the country. We need to do better by this country. And for me, I'm going to stick to the point that if I compare the PF and the UPND, there are certain things the PF did right. The UPND are doing right. They did wrong here in terms of gender. Also, I was happier under the PF. The PF, I think, in terms of gender, they were better. If you look at their cabinet in terms of positions and everything, the current administration needs to do better. You know, and for me, being a gender activist, trust me, I'm so much on that. But the sad part yet again is this: when it comes to proportional representation, which I'm a strong proponent of, I think the only person that can actually give it to us is President HH. Under Bill 10 in the PF, they concocted it as a mixed member representation. President HH and I think Mr. Kasune Zulu, it is one of the best things which came out from Bill 7, because it came out as proportional representation in its pure form. But the sad part is this: they get something so progressive as proportional representation, which can change the face of politics in this country when it comes to women, youth, and persons with representation. What is this representation? But they concoct it with other contentious issues. So the women now in this country have actually failed together, because the water have been thrown together. Is it the baby and the bath water have been thrown together? Because we need proportional representation. And I've been saying, whoever wins in 2026, let's ensure that whoever wins, whether it's UPND if they'll come back as a ruling party, or it's us in the opposition, let's touch that constitution. And when we touch it, let's touch it as a constitution for the people. There's too much politics in this country, and we're failing to govern because of that.
Do you think the UPND has got enough room to improve in their weaknesses in the last 1 year remaining before we go for another election? Or if not, should the UPND government be given another mandate, 5-year mandate beyond 2026?
Oh, definitely not.
On what you have talked about. Definitely
not. That is why I'm in the opposition. By 2026, I want to kick out the UPND. That's the reason why I'm in the opposition. Right. The reason why I would want UPND to be, for example, to continue will be if I see certain things improving. Okay, 1 year is too short. And I've been saying it again to say, sometimes you can see where you're going by where you are. Are you getting the point? Yeah. If you tell me IP that I'm going to take you to Eastern Province, so wise men come from the East, let me take you to the East, to Eastern Province. Even if we are not in Chipata or Petauke where you've told me you're taking me, I will know if you have reached Nyimba or Luangwa to say we're going to Chipata. Are you getting the point? But if you're telling me you're taking me to Mava, IP, and then we find ourselves Kumembesh. You get the point? Okoka Peter will be like, this wise man from the East. Is it really wise or the wisdom who came to the West? You know, so yeah, so that's where it is. So there's certain things with the UPND now whereby they are failing to really have a proper economic recovery plan. Yeah, and we need to work together. For me, the reason why UPND again is failing in some of these critical areas is because of this enmity. The reason why I would always say that we need a reconciliation between President ECL and President HH is because it really signified the kind of animosity that you see in the citizens. You get the point?
Right.
In Zambia right now, everything is red or green. That is why you find even us as opposition political parties, you find that you're speaking. NDC has got orange colors, for example. My blood is orange if you're going to go by party colors. You say something, either you'll be associated with UPND or you'll be associated with the PF. I don't want to be associated with UPND or PF. I'm NDC, I'm orange.
I thought you would have said that that's the reason why Olivia, she's accusing...
Exactly. I think that now vindicates me, yes.
Okay. Oh yeah, maybe that.
Vindicates you. Exactly. Is it because we are all politicians speaking things from the head?
I know where
let her finish.
Are you biased?
All right, let her finish now.
Miss Katoto, I know where to find Olivia, so don't worry.
But reprimand.
If I need to reprimand her, I'll reprimand her from here. Yeah, I'm orange. In fact, she's orange as well as Citizens First.
And red.
No, they're orange. And yeah, exactly. SP, yellow and red. Yeah, so them they're more UPND than anybody else. Have got red.
I think that one I would agree with.
Okay, I'm just joking in terms of colors. Okay, so we don't need a Zambia where you're either green or red. I am orange myself. I get to the point. I am NDC. I represent the ideals of the NDC. And yet again, no wonder I've taken time the past few weeks. I am busy sharing the NDC manifesto sector by sector. You go on my Facebook page right now, you won't find anything else. Apart from me
can I
showing
just come
you
in very quickly? Just
okay,
very,
just
very
hold on,
quickly.
President, before
just very quickly,
please,
yes.
Okay.
Just on that one, I love that Comrade Imboyela talks about sharing NDC vision. So here's the thing, from standing, outside, here's where I think most political parties are missing it, and why you're seeing certain undertones when it comes to you being labeled a certain way. I think it is very unfortunate, and it's very common that usually when political parties, doesn't matter who they are, when they're given that 1 minute to speak, the first thing they will say is HH. Before selling their manifesto, before selling what they will do. This is not starting now. I think this is something that we have seen in the political arena as far back as when multi-party started, where you have to attack an opponent to seem good. So your downfall is my assertion. Yeah? But here's the thing. The wake-up call is that the Zambian people are awake. They want to hear what are you going to do differently.
All right, I'll come back to that.
I'm glad that she has pointed that one out. I think that's very important.
Let her summarize. Please,
Okay,
I'm giving
so
you maybe 15 seconds to
Okay, so in conclusion, for me, I've gone full out in sharing the NDC manifesto sector by sector, because that's what I want to sell to the Zambians. I don't want to sell a situation whereby I am looked at as being this side or that side. When I have my own party, I am orange. So the NDC, in terms of health, they stand for this. In terms of agriculture, in terms of everything, and those are the conversations we're supposed to be having, because we need this country to heal. If there's anything that this, for example, President Issio has shown us, is how deeply we hate each other, how deeply the country is torn apart and in pain, and we need to heal. And I think the healing should start now.
Thank you so much, President Savoy Imboyela, of course, of the NDC, giving her own submission. Let's have from Madam Tembo there. In regards to the comparison between the legacy of ECO and that of the current head of state within 2 minutes.
Okay, thank you so much. For me, when you talk about the comparison of the legacy, I'm going to outline it in three classes. We've got the high class, we've got a medium high class, and then we've got the low class. But when you look at it, the medium are a few. I mean, the high class are a few. The medium are in a medium, and then the low class are the majority. And 3/4 of the majority, these are the people that actually even go in to vote. And so even when you form government, it is those in the low class who are the majority that you need to look at. So when you look at those people that are in the low class who are the majority, what is it that they want? You'll find that the basic necessities are the ones that are priority to them. It's what they want. And you as a people that are in government, you have to look at how are we going to ensure that they are able to have the basic needs that they want. So when you compare between the two, they don't care. They don't care whether corruption is being talked about or being fought, as long as they've got the basic necessities. They don't care whether you've built these, as long as they're able to have the access to the facilities, the education that she's talking about, which is the free education. But then that same free education, is it quality? Is it going to benefit them at the end of the day? So when you look at the two legacies, you are going to have to look at it in terms of the economy that is there. How has the economy in the current government favored the low class who are the majority? And how was it in the past regime with our late President ECL? Did it favor the low class? When you compare the two, Innocent, I believe you've got the answer. You are able to.
You are here to give the answers.
The answer is there. In
What
the
is
past
the answer?
regime, there was, even if there was that much corruption that was there, people were still able to get a bit of that basic necessity. The more reason why, even in terms of the affiliation with people to that political party, it's still high. Reason being, there was that consideration of the low class who are the majority. Have you gotten the point? So those are some of the things that we people who are in government need to start looking at.
Innocent, I could sit in and listen to
hold
this.
on. Yes.
Yes, but please
You want to
allow
come
me
in?
before I lose my line
Right.
of thought. I want to ask a critical question.
Please do.
If the people, the masses, the majority were happy, why did they vote out ECL?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Can I answer that?
can answer that.
Yeah, I'm going to answer that. It's the change that they will come. There is always a wind of a change. And that wind of a change gets driven by a certain vibe. And when a vibe comes, probably I'll give an example like I'm working. And then somebody tells me there is something that is better that side that is going to come. So from what I have today, I want to have something better that side. And if I'm given a promise that says I'm going to have this. So in this case, you are being told that minimum is at 150 kwacha. Somebody comes and gives you a good vibe, it's going to be at 50 kwacha. And you are there thinking, I'm going to save this much. The 100 kwacha I'm going to save, it's going to help me. You plan, if I save 100 kwacha today, tomorrow I save another 100 kwacha. Definitely I'm going to do this kind of an investment. That gets to sink into your head. And as it sinks into your head, you start now moving towards that promise. And with that promise, brings up that change. And the change, you fire that government that is in there. The very same change now that is here, where people now have seen, we voted them in, and what we expected is not what is there. So from the saving that they were supposed to have, from 150 kwacha, they were told they will be buying the millimio at 50 kwacha. They will be saving 100 kwacha. Instead of saving that 100 kwacha, they are now buying it at 300. Have you seen the way the mathematics has gone? So now it comes back into their head. This is not what we wanted. A wind of change comes in. And what are they going to do? Come 2026, the same low class that we are talking about, who are in the majority, the voters themselves, they'll make that decision. And they are going to fire because that is their right.
Right. I hope your question has been answered, Madam Kadotowe.
Barely.
I can start with you and then I'll end with Olivier.
Barely. I think what we negate to address is the fact that there was a concentration of wealth within certain categories of people within our society. Sometimes it's funny, unbelievable, how when you are talking about Zambia, we seem to talk about Zambia based on urban area dynamics. There are rural areas out there who today, for the first time, they've seen a bulldozer within their area, creating roads, okay? For for the first time, they have seen a CDF increased. Let's not forget some of these things. I think it's important that we give a clear picture. And so when we talk about, okay, the change of government was because they were promised better and because things haven't happened. And in so to speak, there was a period of time when, according to what has been painted here, majority of the Zambians were comfortable. Am I correct? Were they okay?
Can I just?
And I think she will come in.
She'll
But my
come.
point
That's
is,
what I'm
my
getting.
point is, the politically exposed benefited enormously. I think for the first time in our country, we saw people with unexplained source of wealth. And these are in the form of those that were politically connected. These were people that were getting tenders and contracts through that. And so to use that as a general perspective of how somebody in Shangobo was living is not correct. And I think here, as we are speaking, it's important to give facts. In this day and age, when you look at what the data is saying, because the data will not lie.
Maybe just hold on as you talk about data. I can see that is so here.
Yes,
Is
it's
itching
quite
to respond.
Yeah,
transparent,
she's
yes.
I'm itching to
She's
respond
itching to
because you know
respond
she's
to
also touched on the issue of the very same CDF that we're talking about, of which that CDF, this is not the time that we're seeing it's there, isn't it? But you know, it was there. And then if we are going to bring it in and then say this is a time that other people are seeing some of these bulldozers in their communities, it is not. It's actually a scam. I agree with you. It's actually a scam.
Can we speak with proof, please?
Let her just
I will.
finish, then I'll hand
Listen,
it over to you,
when
because you're on the
when
floor.
I spoke about the change, no, the law class. When I even
will.
spoke about the law class, Mama, I'm looking at the people. Most of these law classes are the people that we are talking about that are in the communities. And when we talk about the communities, I'm not talking about the communities here in Lusaka. I'm not talking about the communities like in Quito or what. Let's look at Lufanyama. Let's look at these communities like in Chipata. You go beyond Chadiza, Lumezi itself, Lundazi. Let's go to the Western Province. Those places that are far off. Mama, where you went, you had to get stuck in the car. Those are the places that we are talking about. So here, Mama, you lightly put it that, you know, there was that the wealth distribution.
I want you to summarize because
Yes,
yeah.
the wealth distribution, you could see that there were those people that actually got much richer and all that. So now here is
They
the
stopped.
that is a good one. And now here is a situation that led for the people to also fire those people out. Why? Because they also wanted to tap into them getting that wealth.
All right, thank you
The
so
more
much.
reason
Let-
why
let
they
her
looked
proceed
at that
now.
same.
Let her proceed and conclude. Proceed, Madam.
Thank you very much, Innocent. I
You were talking
appreciate
about the data. We said data doesn't lie.
Yes, so when we
Proceed.
talk about the data, we're talking about the economy itself and how the economy is going up, the GDP growth. I think it is very important because all these things, I know we're looking at the macro and microeconomics, and it is a matter of time before these things begin to trickle down at micro level. It starts from a macro level. Everything starts from somewhere. And in this case, we are seeing indicators, positive indicators. I would like to be challenged on that one when it comes to the comparison. What was the GDP indicators during the previous regime and now, when you make the comparison? What were the figures? What were the percentages?
You give us
They-
the percentages yourself.
They are all below
I-
5%.
I will not do the homework for anybody. I'm
Yeah.
guessing everybody.
They are all below 5%.
I'm guessing everyone is prepared when we come here. So we saw a time when they delved down, and now we are seeing them go up. And here's
Hold
the
on.
thing.
Hold on.
Here's the thing.
Proceed, please.
Here's the thing, Innocent. So here's the thing. We must be honest when it comes to the growth that we are seeing.
Right.
Okay? We must be cognizant of the fact that there are certain dynamics, global dynamics at play. There are natural dynamics at play. And this is something which, given anyone even here, would have had to be would have had to be a god to resolve, because these are natural things. And in spite of all these, we have seen a growth. There was the issue of the balances when it comes to figures. You save here, but you have to spend on millimil.
Yeah.
Okay? And what we are saying as a think tank is this. Please hear me well. This is not a journey that will take one day.
Right.
It starts from somewhere. And when you start a journey, as a political analyst, as a governance expert, you need to look at what is the plan. And the plan currently is to grow the economy. What are the investments that are going into different sectors? And I think we have been able to witness the growth from that perspective. Okay? I will not go into the comparison because I'm expected to also have my 2 minutes. So I will leave it to when I get to that.
Right.
But I thought that's what you said.
Yeah. Here's a question. I think I'll use the same question you posed on Madam Daliso Tembo. Your question was, if at all the PF administration did far much better or were doing what was right at that particular moment, how come the people of Zambia kicked them out of the office? That was your question, right?
Yes, yes.
And I will use the same question to you. If the current administration has done massive, you've talked about recruitment, you've talked about the CDF, which has been increased, you've talked about the roads which are being upgraded. Why are people maybe also wallowing in poverty? Why are people buying millennium at an expensive price, contrary to what was promised while it's in the opposition? How would you answer that?
Okay, so I am obviously not the government. I'm not privy to certain things.
I'm aware because I'm speaking to a think tank right now.
But when you are speaking to a think tank,
yeah.
We position ourselves to think like the government, to think like political parties.
Oh, right.
Okay? So I just wanted to put that in clear perspective.
Right.
Okay? In case I'm accused again, which I don't mind, I'm used to it.
Right.
So here's the thing. We are looking at a drought situation, okay? A drought scenario. And what happened with the drought scenario is a no-brainer.
Right.
I think anyone who has a good head on their shoulder will be able to tell you that the drought incapacitated the country in a very big way. And part of that incapacitation included the fact that the food security was destabilized.
Yeah.
And here's the other dynamic to that, other than the drought. There was a discrepancy in prices, okay? And when you talk about a discrepancy in prices, we're talking about the farmer, the cost to production for maize, for milling, and how much FRA at the time was buying it for. What was the sell price of the maize? And here's the thing, this discouraged Zambian farmers from producing maize, from growing maize.
Right.
At some point, we saw them migrate to soybeans because it was fetching more. It made more business sense.
Right.
And here's the thing.
As you conclude,
here's the thing, as I conclude. So there are these two dynamics. And one of them, of course, we've seen how now there's this bumper harvest that we're expecting following the good rains. We thank God for that. And how the projections are beginning to look up and how the indicators are speaking to us in terms of the prices, which at some point was very high. We're now seeing it drop to 200 and so on and so forth. And how everyone rallied behind the call to action by the president who said, let us grow maize. You will get a fair price. We have seen each and every farmer, including new entrants, begin to grow maize. So that is why I'm saying it's a matter of time before we start actualizing some of these things. But as we discuss the shortfalls, let's not forget some of the issues that caused them.
I'll ask you the same question and give me just a direct answer so you don't explain. The question I did ask the president here.
Yes.
Would you love the UPND to continue beyond 2026 based on what the good things they've done so far according to you?
Yes.
Right.
Until I see better.
Right.
My answer is yes.
Thank you so much. Let's hear from Madam Comrade Olivia.
Thank you,
on the
Comrade.
legacy.
Before I go into the legacy, I'd love to answer why PF was removed and why people voted in UPND. The answer is simple. I think even a 5-year-old child came up. People believed that PF was bad because of what was said and what was promised. So people started to become uncomfortable with what they had and hoping for better. Zambia. My question is it any better than it was before PF? The answer is no. I think we can go back from the 10 plan that UPND gave the Zambians that they will improve. They have not done that. It's there in black and white. We were taught how milling will reduce, how fertilizer will reduce, how fuel will reduce, everything, I can name it. And it's there in black and white. None of those really happened.
Why?
So Please give me a chance to talk. Yeah, and I
She'll
don't
give
think,
the why, don't worry.
Okay,
That's
when
what
I
she's
okay, so
gonna
long as
accuse
the
you
why
to be
comes.
speaking
Yeah.
in the
So long as the
UPND,
why
this
comes.
is what I
Yeah.
do.
So long as
Because
the
I
why
gave
comes.
a chance to talk, and to
So
me,
long as we hear the why, I think we need to bring out facts.
Yeah, we'll
that's
do
what
that.
I'm bringing. If you can't get facts, it's unfortunate. Then we'll not force you to get the facts. So, comrade, Zambians believed on most of propaganda that really PF was that bad. In as much as they had one or two things that they didn't do correct, it is very sad that our friends did not want to recognize anything that their friends were doing. And unfortunately, God has a way of exposing things. They're in power today. They've done total opposite of what they promised the Zambians. I think that's the fact. It's there. I don't need to go through or put it in writing. Everything, the 10 plan that UPND gave those that believed in their manifesto, has it improved better? The answer is no. So going back onto the legacy of ECL, in as much as he had his critics, he governed with decency. What do I mean when I say governed with decency? I think there's a decency on how, and he respected institutions, how institutions operated. Right. Yeah, I'll start first with the ECZ itself. What was happening there and what's happening today. It's really something that is very sad. And to tell you, as an aspiring candidate, I'm so scared for 2026 because we cannot trust, and especially the individuals that have been put in ECZ. And I'll give examples. One of them is McDonald Chipenzi. He's a comrade who also stood as a member of parliament, I think, in Southern Province. That should be so Siabonga. Today, that's the person who is a proper UPND you've gone to put at ECZ there to look at the interest of an election. That is compromise. Including the chairperson, who was very much UPND. Today, she's gone there. So there are some institutions, you can take your cadres in certain jobs, but there are certain jobs you need to put independent people. People that are going to look at the interest of the country, not the political party. I'll go down to the parliament. What we are seeing today happening at the National Assembly, it's very, very sad. In as much as there are flaws, but today I've never heard in the history, in my history of politics, where a speaker can contradict the judiciary, be able to do certain maneuvers. And we've seen, I think, how a lot of cases have been mishandled. The parliament is a place where laws are supposed to be enacted. But what is happening there, we've seen also how even the members of parliament, how the seats have been nullified. Comrade, to me, as a citizen away from politics, I'm very worried. And I think we never saw that. If PF was as petty as our friends today, a good number of MPs would have been arrested even then. But they allowed, I think, democracy. And the MPs would deliberate. Today we can bring clips of how our friends, the UPND members of parliament, will talk in that parliament. But we never saw the speaker to do what is happening today. I'm very saddened as a woman to have the first female speaker who should have done better to represent us as women. But what we are seeing there, my brother, it's something that is worrying. The other area, which I'm very worried, it's the judiciary itself. A good example, the firing of those judges. It's something also that is worrisome. The interference of the executive with these other arms of government. It is something that I think PF tried to be decent. In as much if they did it, it was not as open as it is happening now. So whether others like it or not, it's there. And then second, the state's using of power to crush political parties. Comrade, we have seen how political parties have been given president by the current regime. A good example, start with the PF itself. Look at the drama. They are running political parties at Register of Society. PF was given a president. It had its own executive. It started first, Mao Stampa came in. The next now there's Chawinga, who the party itself is not their leader, but they have leaders.
How sure are you that these individuals have been given to the PF by the executive or the government?
No, it's not true, comrade.
Exactly.
It's not true,
No,
comrade.
I'm asking a question. How
Good
sure
question.
are
I am
you?
very sure because comrade,
let's assume that someone is
it's in
watching the
public
program for the
domain.
first time.
It's in public
Yeah.
domain. There was nowhere where the PF sat to elect Chawinga as the president of the party. Unless I missed it, comrade. Where? Which conference? Which whatever. You get my point. Today, Chawinga is being recognized by the state as the leader of PF. Where? Who put him there? Who put him there? That's the answer number one. So let us not try to really protect a wrong is a wrong. You get my point, comrade. The NDC, as we are talking here, there's another function of NDC. A good number of political parties are being run. And comrade, actually, to me, the greatest thing that the current regime has crushed is democracy. The arresting of opposition. leaders. My president is in court on some of them when you look at the cases. And it's so sad, like for the past 3 years, we are going on a case of seditious. The state is not ready, that is not ready. Today they'll charge you with seditious, they go to court, it doesn't qualify, they change. To me, if a case I've been arrested on does not qualify, what's supposed to happen normally? That case is supposed to be dropped. But they will change and twist. So we have seen a lot of confusion and a lot of killing of democracy in this current regime than it was previously. The issue of corruption. Please, before I lose my right to come in, hold on. The issue of corruption, comrade, is it any better now?
Before we come to corruption, it's one of my next question on my script. But just hold on there. You can come in, Madam Katotoy, with your question.
So it's interesting to hear that there is no proof to show interference by the current government when it comes to political party leadership. I was expecting, and I'm sure viewers out there were expecting to see something that in black and white ties the ruling party to the leadership of political parties, the hijacking. That aside, when you compare legacy...
She gave an example. She tried to justify that when you look at... I'm on the floor. When you look at Honorable Chawinga, no one, or there was no any extraordinary convention in the PF which elected Honorable Chawinga for him to be on that position as acting president. And her concern is that the state has recognized Chawinga as the acting president. From the think tank perspective and the CSO or leader, what do you see in that?
So what the question we should be asking then is, why are the institutions that are tasked with recognizing leadership, recognizing Chawinga, Honorable Chawinga? And if there is an anomaly there, I think it is upon all of us to raise it with those institutions in black and white, to say you have deviated.
That's what she's doing. This was a concern.
That's my concern.
And she's trying
So here's the thing. So if this was done, and the situation still stands, shouldn't that be an issue of the institution?
Which institution now?
The institution that has recognized.
That's why we're telling you that there is a problem, because those
no, but why? How does the state come in?
It's the state because
there's separation of powers.
And on the issue of Chawinga, PF wrote to Nelly Muti in the parliament. It's there. My comrades, please do research and know what is going on politically in the country. It is there in black and white, where the PF wrote who their leaders are up to today. Parliament does not recognize who the party wants as their leaders for PF. It is there. In case our friend didn't follow it, please, you are free to go and check it.
You're on the floor, Olivia. So let her finish.
So now,
okay. So let me.
Are you done?
So let me just finish.
Yeah.
Let me just finish.
Just 15 seconds because she's on the floor.
Okay.
So she doesn't lose thoughts.
Okay. So my point, the point I'm trying to make is, it's important that we deal with facts and not perceptions. Let us not misinform the Zambian people. I think it is important to see what is factual and what is not.
What is a fact,
and argue from that
to
part.
what I've raised up about the
argue from that point of view.
Right.
I would like to ask this CEO here, what is a fact on the PF leadership? Because she's saying what we have said is not a fact. Isn't it not true that Chawinga today is being recognized as
All right, just hold on. Let's allow Madam President to also dive into that.
Okay, that is why for me, I keep on saying this country deserves better. Exactly. Okay? The only time we did not see a president or a political party interfere with the opposition and do what is happening right now is under UNIP, because UNIP was a one-party state. From the time the MMD got into office, we saw how at some point Sata was removed from his own party. There was a time they started claiming Sata was a Tanzanian and he was almost not even standing in elections, okay? So the MMD did it to the PF. When the PF formed government, they did it to political parties like the MMD, which was the immediate past ruling party. The MMD has just won certain cases now after the PF lost. Are you getting the point? So the PF did it to the MMD and they did it to us as NDC. What we are going through right now under UPND actually started with PF, sadly. And Honorable Katoto was asking, in terms of evidence, one of the clearest way to see that somebody is being sponsored by the state is how a member of your own party, all of a sudden they've got state security.
Yes.
It started happening like that under the PF, where we saw our former SG, when he was going to the TV and radio stations, was being heavily escorted by the police. Then 15 policemen escorting our former SG. Are you getting the point? We had the National Democratic thing, you know, the NC, the Constitution Making Review Commission at that time. NDC, one of the reasons why we never supported that as NDC was because we sat at home and we saw somebody on TV who was a suspended member of the NDC, a district chairman in Kitwe, being paraded on TV that this is the NDC president. And at that time, our president was a President Hakainde. Are you getting the point? So it started like that. You know, we had a lot of confusion brought in the party, you know, which some we could directly link to say, okay, why is the government behaving like this towards us? They deregistered us, by the way, as NDC. The PF government deregistered us. They deregistered the DP, their former party, you know. We went to court, we won.
So why is
and
this
even
part
when
of
we won,
legacy then?
no, listen, what I'm saying, I'm giving a road. Yeah. So they deregistered us, deregistered the DP, we went to court, we won, and even when we won, in both the case of the DP and the NDC, government again even appealed. Are you getting the point? That did not stop with the PF. The UPND formed government, and we thought, okay, now with all the promises and everything, things will be better. You get the point? And they have continued. You know, with NDC, those things have still continued. It's just good that you have a strong leader, a female leader of NDC, that nobody even remembers any faction of NDC. Because I have proved myself to say that when you're a leader, you're a leader. And something fake cannot compare to the original. Right. No wonder even a lot of people that had gone have come back into NDC.
Innocent.
All right. Thank you so much, President Savoy Mboela. Thank you so much, comrades. We might spend the whole time. You're still on the floor. I will allow you to
so
conclude quickly.
The other issue is the gagging of the media. I think we've seen it in this regime. It's worse than it was previously. And then also, the other thing that I would compare to the ECO legacy and the current is so sad. To me, I will tell you, when President HH was ascended to power, I had hoped that I think a lot of things are going to be done better. Right. But it's so sad that it has actually done what PF did 2 times, they've done it 10 times. You get my point? In whichever way, be it corruption, be it in terms of the rule of law, which they claim that they are doing, it's the other way around. And then it's only in this regime where we have seen members of parliament being arrested for speaking up for the people. And then also introducing certain charges and certain acts that have been acted just to go there and actually silence the opposition. I'll give an example. Anybody that speaks the truth and stand up for what is that, you'll be arrested either for seditious, for hate speech. It's only hate speech when the opposition comes. In Chadiza, there was one of our bloggers, Marty, standing up. What he's talking about, the CDF and some of these projects, I'll get to that in detail so that I can help. Maybe I'm always in the rural and tell you what that CDF they're talking about in Osaka and that the CDF is in the rural areas. Yeah, so when you look at that also, one thing that you never take away from this is infrastructure. Right. I think he really did his part. And why did they achieve that? There was continuation. I'll give you an example. I think the road networks that were done under the PF, they were started by MMD. So like I think one of our colleagues mentioned, when you get into government, you don't rubbish everything that your friends did. You cannot come to be more intelligent than others. Like we saw from 2021, it was blame game. They'll do it better. Hey, they were thieves, what and this and that. But we have reached 4 years. Have they done it better than what they found? The answer is no. So to me, the legacy of ECL that will never take away is infrastructure. Not even any president, I think, among the 7 presidents, the 5th president, the 5th president before him, including the one that is there, will not reach that. And you can never take away from that. We've seen even some of the projects today being commissioned, they were done by ECL.
I know that
so to me, let me conclude. So when I look at the comparison, no, I was interjecting. How many minutes are you giving us? I was interjecting. How many minutes? No, I won't conclude. So to me, really, there is a big difference between ECL and the current. ECL was a statement.
Right.
This one, they are ruling first by vengeance. The vengeance is, I think, what has made President HH to lose out, I think, on certain issues.
Thank you so much, Comrade Olivia. Thank you so much, Madam Caroline. Let's move on, comrades. Let's look at the corruption fight in this country. I know that we've got, I think, 2 segments we need to look at. But corruption fight is something that, of course, the UPND equally like...
Innocent.
Yes, please.
Before you proceed with corruption, I think it's very important that I add my voice to the comparison.
So what I would do, I'll start with
you were given an opportunity.
Can I
To the
also be
comparison.
sure?
I just want to add my voice to the
I also want to
comparison.
add, you stopped me from
Yes,
adding that
yes.
voice. You
But
stopped
it's
me.
an
So
innocent-
if
you
you stopped
asked
me,
me
you
a
gave
question,
all
and
of
then
us
I
chance.
did- No, you asked
yeah.
me
to give comparison.
Reason.
And
You
then
asked
they
me
gave
a
us that
question.
they just moved
You
to
asked
the-
me a
Yes.
question. I
So
was
I think
responding to
so.
your question.
Can I also...
Here, I'm going to handle it in this way. I'll give you 2 minutes. So
Yes,
within
please.
2 minutes, you have to answer the question I'm going to ask you and also respond to what you have on paper.
Not a problem.
Within that 2
Fair
minutes.
enough.
So my question is to all of you comrades and our leaders that when you look at the fight against corruption in this country under President Hakainde Hichilema, so far we have seen a number of people that have been arrested. I think others are still going to court as we speak today. Would you say this is a sign that indeed corruption is being fought tooth and nail under President Hakainde Hichilema? So your 2 minutes start now. You can, if you spend your 2 minutes in responding to the previous issues, then that will not be my fault.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. So here's the thing. The resounding answer is yes.
Right.
Corruption is being fought.
Right.
Can we do more? Yes, we can do more.
Right.
And this we speak not from without. When we look at pronouncements, it's very important that the head of state makes a pronouncement when it comes to the fight against corruption. Because what does that do? It sets the tone for how everyone else is expected to operate.
Right.
And the current president is on record having said that corruption will be fought past, present, and future. So now, here's where facts come in. We have seen past corruption being fought. And the argument here, I'll play both sides.
Yes.
Because I'm for the people. So I'll speak on both sides. The argument here is that the people that are being brought to book are mainly those that are in the opposition or the past regime. So here's the thing. Corruption is a vice that is not easy to fight. The reason is those that are being fought, okay, those that are corrupt, yield so much power. That is why for the first time we are seeing cases of those that occupied office being brought to the fore and cases being tried. Some have been acquitted, some have been found wanting. Why wasn't this done in the past? It's because of how difficult it is to fight corruption when it comes to those that yield power, because they fight back. Right. When it comes to the present, we have seen those that have expressed themselves in a corrupt way. And we have seen how they have been dismissed from their positions.
Are we able to cite examples?
Yes, we can talk about
Please
Honorable from Luapula. Luapula, was that Luapula? Please correct me.
Yeah.
One of the Luapula officials from the UPND that was found to have dipped their hands or soiled themselves in some murky waters. And we saw how the president was very quick in acting on this.
Under which case was that? We have to be specific because remember we are.
I don't have my,
So
but it is something. Wait. It is something that I can point you to because this is something that is in the public domain.
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay, this is something that is in the public domain. So if we all just take 1 minute, as we do when we're doing our social chats, and punch in this, all the data will come out. Okay, we have seen how corruption is fought when it comes to those that are occupying quasi institutions. Okay, we have seen how corruption is being fought when it comes to those that seem to be politically inclined, those that are seen to be part and parcel of UPND or perceived as UPND. Okay, and so from there you can see that corruption is being.
Let me just come in, I think, as a moderator. You were citing an example of a UPND official in Wapla province in the name of Honorable Derrick Chilundika. That's a case.
Yes. Thank you.
That's a case
Yes,
for
yes.
right?
Yes. Yes.
What are the facts as to why Honorable Chilundika was fired?
Okay, so the facts of that case, I will not go into the legal aspect of it. For the benefit of time, you've given me 2 minutes. So what I'll say is the fact that he was fired is something that we never saw.
But you pointed to corruption issues.
Yes.
Your build-up was about corruption.
Yes,
and you
yes,
gave
and that was the...
Chirundika as an example of those who have been fired under the UPND because of the corruption.
There was the issue of the minerals, the mineral aspect, the mineral licenses, the mineral extraction, and some lack of proper following of procedure. These are some of the...
How far has that case gone? Where are we?
Can we start from the bare minimum? The bare minimum is that for the first time, we saw somebody dismissed. Okay? That is the bare minimum.
Okay, I wanted us to have clarity because I wouldn't want
that is the bare minimum.
to have my institution be sued to say someone lied or rather misled the country that I was fired because of corruption. Remember when the president fires someone, they didn't give reasons. So if you picked on Honorable Chirundika and then you needed to substantiate further.
Yes, so that's what I'm saying. I won't speak from a legal perspective.
Right.
I will speak from what is in the public domain.
Right.
Okay, and what is in the public domain, these are the things that I will speak to.
Right.
And the mere fact that there was that, we appreciated it. So here's the thing, when you talk about corruption, already those are indicators. Okay, yes. We have seen, am I protected?
You are protected, yes. But of course, you have to conclude. Your 2 minutes
okay.
is up.
Okay. So we have seen how this has been a deterrent when it comes to the fight against corruption. Because for the first time, we are seeing the seriousness, okay, of institutions such as SEC, such as DEC, such as FIC. Already today, just today itself, FIC report indicated that there's been a drop in illicit transactions, suspicious transactions. There's been a drop of about, I've got my facts here, 12.74%. These are facts. These are facts. These are substantiated facts on suspicious transactions. There's been a drop, a decline. Read the report for yourselves, Zambians. There has been a drop, a decline of corruption in public institutions. Right. So if you cannot see that this fight against corruption is serious, right, and the UPND government is winning, then unfortunately I cannot borrow you my eyes to see.
I'll still come back to you.
Thank you.
Comrade
to
Olivia
me, Comrade, my answer is simple. How the UPND government, since 2021, in terms of fighting corruption, I would say the administration has utterly failed the corruption test. Why do I say that? We see today a selective anti-corruption campaign, which is only targeting from the former regime, while shielding the loyalists of the ruling party. Okay, what are those examples? I can give one of the examples. It has simply changed colors from green to red. Okay, what are those examples? I think we have had the fertilizer scandals. They were in public domain. We never saw any of the people involved, from ministers to down there, being prosecuted or being arrested or being investigated within the UPND. It is there in public domain. The procurement, the dubious procurement of deals. The biggest scandal of the medicines at ZAMSA, which today, a normal government, we expected the minister in charge at that particular time to be fired if this government is really working hard to fight on corruption. But what did we see? The minister being moved and a chief executive being fired. But
how do we know that minister was moved? Because
comrade, I think don't interfere with
I think it's
what
important.
I'm saying, it's
you
in public domain.
Question.
It is in
How
public
can
domain.
we assume
and the Minister of
it's because
Health
of corruption
was moved from that ministry at that particular
time. And why
time
are we
when
assuming it was corruption?
Yeah,
I think it's important.
Listen, you want
so
yes, I think that's an important question.
I'm happy that you've asked that question.
Yes. And you sound like a PF mouthpiece.
No, I am not.
I don't even know which party
I
you're
am a socialist
but
party and an opposition.
Let's move on.
If you are a CEO, be objective and
let's
do not hear. Comrade,
let's move on.
The speaker.
Let's move on,
is
Innocent.
pretending.
I haven't heard SP come out of the speaker. I've heard of PF this, PF that.
Have I
Not
mentioned
once.
PF on the corruption?
I've heard Madam Imboela talk about
Why are
her
you?
party.
Why
so I
is
think
she
let's be
pretending
fair.
to be a CEO?
Let's be fair,
So you
colleagues.
asked that
Comrade,
question.
I think
this
it's an
one is
important
wearing a
question.
CEO umbrella. She's actually
I
one
think
of the
it's an
media people
important
in the
question.
UPND.
How do you
Actually,
assume
to me,
the
comrade,
minister
let us be
was
fair.
corrupt? Let's
Why
ask
is
that
she
question.
interjecting me when we give her a chance to talk? Am I protected?
I'm interjecting on
You are
behalf of the
protected.
people.
Look,
Yeah, so now let me
listen,
talk.
comrades.
I'm
It is in
interjecting on,
public domain.
let's
on
be
behalf
calm, all
of the
of us.
people.
Let's get calm, all of us.
You know, when you get people
You've
to
asked a
pretend, that's
question.
what happens.
You've
An
asked a
important
question,
one.
right?
Exactly.
You've asked a question. So let us substantiate.
Let me talk.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That's
You
all
were
I
given
wanted.
chance
Exactly.
to explain.
So-
Not
Hold on.
all these accusations.
Which
I just
accusation?
wanted.
Accusing who?
I can see we are getting very uncomfortable. Maybe I've
Who?
struck
You
a
are
nerve.
uncomfortable
So,
because
just
you
hold
have
on.
Can we-
pretended
can
to
we
be what you
respond?
Hold on,
want.
comrade.
Yes.
Please
Comrade, can I
substantiate.
be given chance?
Can
Yes,
we
please.
respond,
I was
please?
You are
explaining,
protected.
and what I have
Can we
said even
respond?
today,
Yeah,
it is
let
there
us
in
respond.
public domain. When there was that scandal of medicine, I think everybody knows, unless a blind follower or press saying, I will not see anything wrong of what everybody has seen in the country. We saw a minister being moved instead of a minister being fired. And then we saw a chief executive being fired. And I think it's on record, the chief executive is on media to explain what happened and how the directives were coming.
So here's
My question.
is a concern.
Yes. So, yeah, no, listen, I'm still talking. The problem
Just
with our
make sure
colleague,
it's
she's
correct.
not giving chance
No,
for others
I
to
just
talk.
want to emphasize what a
Yeah.
concern is. She said, how do you know that the transfer of the Minister of Health, Honorable Marcel, from the Minister of Health at the time, to the Minister of Lands, was because of the corruption? So maybe you can just clarify there.
Comrade,
Maybe I can come
let me,
and,
you know what?
just try to
Yeah.
No, let her clarify. She's the
No
one
way,
who's saying
you,
it.
I'm not obliged to
Okay.
clarify.
For the
First,
sake
you're
of
not
us,
so
government.
those who have asked
She
a
is
question,
not governing this
Clarify.
one. So let
Yes,
her
yes.
assist to
Clarify.
her
Innocent,
role
So
that she's
substantiate
innocent, am I
that.
protected?
What
Yes,
I'm
you are
substantiating-
protected.
No,
Thank you
she's
very
in
much.
That's why I've
Exactly.
taken up your question and
Thank
the
you.
challenge.
Exactly.
Let her
Thank you.
explain.
The challenge I've explained, the innocent, to me that's what I've said. Only a praise singer of the current regime or those that are funded by the current regime will not see what everybody is saying out there. And today, poor citizens are suffering because of the wrong things that are happening. And it will be so blind of us to sit here and start defending wrong things. And to me, comrade, what I was saying, one, there was a fertilizer scandal. Who got fired from there? It died a natural death. There were a lot of scandals of corruption. Look at the issue of the gold which turned into copper at the airport. Who got fired by the end of that, comrade? Second, when the issue of the dubious procurement of medicine, we saw a minister being moved instead of being fired. And instead, it was the chief executive of ZAMSA who got fired. So what do I need to clarify? Isn't it in public domain, comrade?
That doesn't answer my
Is
question.
it
Innocent.
that in public domain, comrade?
Okay,
question
so
not
hold on,
answered.
hold on.
So
There's
now,
a
before
hand
I
here.
lose my take, comrade,
Hold
let
on,
me
comrade,
finish.
hold on.
not
There's
answered.
an interjection here. Let's start with Madam Dariso there. Then President Sawayimwelo comes in. Then I'll be back to you.
Please,
You're on
I
the
need-
floor
I need
already.
to conclude.
Yes, you're on the floor.
Okay, thank you so much. What I just want to clear up is my sister. You know, timing of doing things at times matters. And in the eyes of the people, you can't blame them to assume that. The timing of doing things matters. It is even in the same way that we are talking about with what is happening in this country. You know, you are saying there is a timing that we are going to be doing these things and this is a start. But that timing itself, is it favorable to you? No, it's not. So when you look at what happened there at that time, there was that scandal that was an F, isn't it? And at that heated moment, when the Zambian people needed clarity on what was happening, then there was that move. Instantly, it is very difficult to go to a low-class person in the village to try and convince them. The high class,
So
they
we're working
know
on
the facts.
assumption.
Can I finish
We're working
it?
on assumption.
Listen,
So
let me tell you
Okay,
something.
we are working on assumption
It
based
depends
on
on how you
timing.
take it.
Listen,
Okay.
can I tell you?
Just
so
finish,
for somebody
finish
to come,
quickly.
yeah,
I
you
gave
know,
you 15 seconds.
Yes, thank you.
You don't
So
have to
you
go on
know,
the floor.
at times that's why you find that even when you go out there into the community, you ask any other ordinary person, a high class person who understands better, who give you the reasons that were
Right.
there. But when you go to a person who's in the community, they'll tell you that that was the reason that's there. So you know,
I think
at the end of the day,
colleagues, let's be
listen,
factual. Let's not
let me
assume.
just
You are
it's
not
not
getting
about
anybody.
assuming. It's not
You
about
are the one who is
assuming.
assuming.
This
Let's
is
not
why
make
I've given you
assumption.
reasons. That's
Can
why
we
I've
not
given you
make
reasons because that
assumption?
is what
Comrade,
most
can
of
we
those
just let
people.
speakers? I think
Can
they
we-
are protected.
I'm very.
She's on the floor, so hold on.
Exactly.
Let her
Thank you.
finish.
Yes, let me
I
finish.
think we
You
are-
know, the problem is that you don't want to hear somebody finish on
Exactly.
and then you
No,
have
you
to
finish.
interject.
Finish.
Have you
Okay,
gotten the
so
point?
But I
thank
was
you so
told
much,
that
Madam
we can
Tembo. You
interject.
Can
want
I
to-
just finalize on it?
We were told
There
we
are
can
two things here.
interject. we can
not
interject
unnecessarily. You let the person do what? Finish up, and then that's when you come. So here is the thing. You've gotten the point. Huh? So we cannot go to the person who is in, let me even give an example here in Chibolia, who would not even be able to understand the dynamics of what was happening there. For him, because of the timing and the way it was done, they would want to assume that. So now, how best are you going to correct that? Are you saying, how best are you going to, listen, how best are you going to do that, right? How best are you going to do that? It's by going back and to
Thank you very much, Madam Tembo. Let's hear from President Hakainde, and then I'll come back to,
Okay, for me, number one, I think you need to be serious with your time for us, or our time for you. Yeah, I think before we started the program, we clearly said, we were honest enough to say, being politicians, we may be taking too much time. You've been giving us 2 minutes. So even when we overdo it, maybe 3, even 5 minutes. But one person, 10 minutes, I think is going to really screw the debate in a certain direction. Yes. And then also, for me also, I think we are 4 ladies here, and I think we can talk without arguing.
Yes,
you know,
indeed.
because for me, even if, for example, somebody's red, somebody's green here, because there are accusations here. I don't know if they're accusing each other because they're tribal cousins or whatever. You get the point? Or they're being rough. Okay. Listen.
I think we can all
listen. Okay. So whether you can see it or not, listen. Do you know that, for example, whatever it is I am seeing right now, I'll talk about it after this program ends. You get the point? When it's a little bit sensitive, you get the point? So for me, I think we can be civil with each other, because one of the biggest problems that we have in Zambia actually is civility in our politics. And as women, I think we should bring a new face to our politics. We can differ without arguing, you know. This is a debate. We don't need to argue, we need to debate. You know, so when we debate with facts, we debate with whatever, we are civil to each other. I think we're going to keep this debate clean. So for me, these 2 tribal cousins, I think if we don't handle this properly, whether it's interjections or whatever, I think we can still debate and still do it in a proper way. Because I think some of us are becoming uncomfortable. You know, because for me, I think being a politician, I think I can talk politics the whole day without arguing with a person. I can do that. I can manage to do that. So I think let's I think you see, so I think the running comments,
I think
exactly,
both of you are also
exactly, yes. So the running comments and everything, at least when somebody's talking, we give them time to speak, whether we agree with them or not. Those, I think, they're simple house rules that we should observe.
Thank you so much, Sawoi, for that.
So I was in conclusion. To me, I think
like
President Sawoi said, let's give each other a chance. Some of us are giving people a chance to talk. When it's our chance to talk, and the interjections, the way they're coming in, it's like an attack. And it's like somebody really trying to me, really.
We have guided each other. Let's proceed.
So to me, like I was saying, I think this administration has failed in terms of this corruption test. Okay. And no UPND high profile has been arrested in most of these big scandals that we've had that are in public domain. I'm not talking about what I've dreamt. It's there in black and white, and every citizen has been seeing most of these scandals that have come. And up to today, that's why we've gotten to the level where by now we are calling something that is straightforward as an AI. You know, I think it's also very important in leadership to take responsibility. You error, you take responsibility, you correct it. That's the only way you can correct a mistake. So our friends, the problem is it's only corruption when they're dealing with the previous regime. Like she has given an example of Chilotika being fired. How far did that case go? Because we expected to see if what she was fired for, like she cited, it was on corruption. By now, that man should have been in jail, because we should have seen like where other cases are running in court of those, the former regime. But it's not everybody that has been arrested from the previous regime. It's about corruption. I can give an example. I think the arrest of Nixon, Chilango, and Chitotela. It had nothing to do with corruption. They have been there. It was an issue of assault. Okay? So to me, our friends, what we are seeing here is witch hunt masquerading as justice. I think that's what I would term what they're calling the fight of corruption. And it has failed because they have not done it in accordingly. And 2, corruption has not reduced from the previous to the current. It has worsened because there's also the proper white collar corruption. This is why I think we saw even a bigger scandal where gold turned into copper in a briefcase. It is there. It was in public domain, and there were ministers issuing even statements into those lines that nothing. Today, who ended up being arrested on that case? It was a whistleblower. So to me, really, I think our friends really need to do the right thing by understanding this is wrong,
Right.
correct it.
Thank you so much. Let's hear from Daiso there as well. You've got the 2 minutes. Let us
All right.
stick to the 2 minutes and then we'll move on.
Thank
Time
you
is not
so
with us.
much. You know, when we talk about the issues of corruption, for me, I'll go way back into the time of Mwanawasa. I think that's where we saw corruption being fought in the best way that we could.
Right.
From there to here where we are current, we've seen much of it being selective. And this has resulted because of, you know, the enmity that has been seen in the political environment that we found ourselves in. So for me, I would want to speak so much, you know, we've seen quite a number of corruption cases that have been spoken about. Let's talk about the procurement that was agreed to say there were issues to do with the procurement of the ambulances, of which we even know that some of them are not even yet delivered. Let's talk about the misappropriations that we've seen at ZAMSA in the Ministry of Health. It's saddened because that led to also seeing USAID what's withdrawing the aid, isn't it? And who are the ones that are suffering at the end of it? It is the very same people who are suffering out of it, isn't it? So because of that, you could easily tell that there is more that needs to be done in terms of corruption. And since there is more that needs to be done in terms of corruption, what is the solution that needs to be done? That I think it is time, like President Savoy had spoke about, where we need to differentiate. When a party comes into power, that's a government. That is a political party. Those are two different. So even when we are going to start governing, we need to know that in order for us to be able to do what is expected of us, for the people that have given us this mandate to be in state, we have to do what is right. We don't have to take in to say vengeance. Vengeance doesn't actually yield any fruits. Vengeance will actually take you to destruction. So when you let love lead, even in politics, it's going to yield good leaders of the bad that is in there. So here going forward as Citizen First, what are we talking about? We're talking about doing what is right. And what is right is where you go in as a government that would look at doing what is right, fighting the corruption, not center it on selected individuals. No, looking at it, doing the right thing that is supposed to be there. If it has to be called, it has to be called. If it's somebody that is in government, let them face it, because it is for the people. A government of the people, for the people. But when you look at what is really happening now, you could actually see that the same thing that was done at the time of Lupia, the time of the PF and the UPN, it's the same thing that is happening. Is it what we want to see? No. And it's not like it's reducing. That is a total lie. It's actually getting worse. And you know, even in terms of the enmity among us politicians, it's not that it's reducing, it's getting worse. So we need to do better. So we as Citizen First, we are saying no to that. Under the leadership of President Hichilema, we don't want that. What we want is to see the citizens benefit more out of this corruption fight that is there, because it has disadvantaged the many people that are giving us this power to be able to be in government. So, you know, at the end of the day, because of that enmity, we completely lose the focus in which we are supposed to govern.
If you were elected in government today or maybe next year as Citizens First, are you going to fight the past corruption?
The best way to fight the corruption, let me tell you, my dear Innocent, it's like one, the system itself needs to be looked at. Right. If you are going to target individuals, we'll fall back into the same system that we're looking at now.
Right.
What needs to be done is the system needs to be changed. Once the system is looked at, a lot of things will fall in place. But if you are going to change individuals and the system is as it is, then you're doing nothing.
Thank you so much. Let's hear from President Savoy Imboela and the NDC.
Yes. Yeah, first and foremost, apart from the local indicators, we also have these international indexes that Zambia always looks up to. For example, the corruption index. You know, so the corruption index from the PF up to now, is it improving? Is it worsening? Are you getting the point? In order for me, I keep on saying that a lot of things are still the same, really. You know, they're still the same and even worsening in some areas. A few places where it's getting better, certain places getting worse. Corruption, I think from the time President HH got into government, some of us have consistently been advising to say putting key officers under the president's office was a bad idea. I don't know who advised him like that. Worst mistake ever. The FIC, the SCC, the DEC should not be under the president, because just when somebody has done something wrong, you know, there is a process or a procedure through which certain things are supposed to be done, you know. And even when you have been found wanting by a lower organ, you know, as you move up the hierarchy of justice, you find that you can appeal to the next and to the next until all the way to the last. But if the president is involved from the onset, you know, these institutions are under him, it becomes very, very difficult to fight corruption. Because when there is a proper case of corruption and that person is linked to the president, even the people that are supposed to do that job are scared. You know, and also does the president call them to say, can go ahead with this or not? We don't know that, you know, but as long as those institutions are under him, it becomes very, very compromised, you know. And these institutions of democracy are called institutions of democracy for a good reason. You know, they're not supposed to be partisan. You know, one institution that has been a pride of this country is the FIC. And the Attorney General's report, you know, every time we read the AFIC and the Attorney General's, the Auditor General's report, we see that corruption in Zambia really is endemic, if we could say that. And also, it's so much in the civil service and with the politicians, you know, from the successive governments, that is. So what we need to do, number one, once those reports come out, we need to ensure that some of these institutions are given teeth to bite. But every year, year in, year out, we just hear these glaring statistics of how badly our money is being stolen. From there, nothing is happening, you know. So these things really have to be fought. And if we are serious with fighting corruption, we need to take a look at these things. Honorable Daliso Tembo here said something which I wanted to say, but thank God she said it already, so I won't go through that. Issues of Mwanawasa, for example. Anybody who remembers Mwanawasa remembers the corruption fight. Are you getting the point? And they say that the wheels of government move slow, you know. So there were certain things which Mwanawasa could not maybe have finished because he died, sadly, while he's still in office. But we still remember the example I gave you of us going to Chipata. You know, when it came to corruption, we're going to Chipata, Mwanawasa left us very close to Chipata. Are you getting the point? And the other things we were just waiting to say, kukacha tizafika kuchipata. You know what I mean? Nipa fupi. Yes, nipa fupi. Under the PF, I think corruption was very, very bad. Under the UPND also, you know. Right now, we saw a situation whereby the American ambassador had to come out on his own to issue statements. Instead of them listening, they started now telling him about the Vienna Convention and what a diplomat is supposed to do, which he knows fully well. Because unlike us who take diplomats who are cadres, our friends take career diplomats as diplomats, you know. So when you have a diplomat like that, he knows his job. You know, and they know that diplomats are not supposed to interfere in the governance of a country. Even when you work for some of these institutions, like the UN, for example, I've worked for the UN myself before, you find that even you as a Zambian, you're told not to interfere with the local politics. Are you getting the point? So, meaning that even them as career diplomats, they know that they're not supposed to interfere. But when it becomes so bad that the taxpayers' money is being affected, they'll come out like that. Right. He came out, he was bashed. He came out with a bigger conference with his friends now from the European Union. Are you getting the point? And from there now we have seen action by government, you see. So meaning that those meetings that the American ambassador talked about, to say we've been having meetings, over, I think mentioned 39 meetings or so, and nothing is happening. We've done research, we've gone all over the country. Medicines from these hospitals is being sold all over. You know, so with that, we really need to have a serious anti-corruption a corruption fight, because when the president is quiet on these things or he appears not to say anything, it becomes an indictment on his legacy and on him as a person to say right now, how much does he know of this that is going on? So to cut the long story short, IP, I think the UPND is not really fighting corruption as they should. Right. Yeah, as they should, because we can see that a lot of money is going in certain places where it's not supposed to. For me, I think the PF maybe with certain levels of corruption which were being mentioned here and there, maybe even seen in some cases, you get the point. There were situations whereby maybe they were even able to share. So even their cadres had money. So because audience wouldn't want to touch, you know. We've had situations here in Zambia whereby Suji lights went missing. 3 truckloads of Suji lights went missing at the police station. Are you getting the point? Where is our Suji lights? Are you getting the point? We have had so many instances in the UPND government whereby we should have seen a strong stance by the president and by the government to say, because of this, this is a stance that we're taking.
Are you implying that it is okay for our leaders in government to share, to steal, provided you share with the people?
No, it is not. Stealing is never good in any way.
Right.
The PF was looked at as being so corrupt because when there was that corruption, they were sharing. I get to the point. And wonder, even when people tell you sometimes say the PF were a better government, they look at that to say, but there's a good or something. You get the point. The trickle-down effect of, I don't know whether there's a trickle-down effect of development in some areas or of corrupt money in some areas, I don't know, but there was a trickle-down effect of money being felt by the ordinary person out there. For the UPND, when you look at the figures sometimes to say, somebody was found in this deal, you know, like remember the Kenyan hospital, that is the situation, there were $5 million being announced. You get the point. Sometimes you hear somebody's been given a contract without following the procedure, $26 million. So for them, because they saw what happened with the PF, I think they learned and they're saying, okay, it's a tikatengapo, people should not know. Okay, we should not share with the cadres, which for them again is a bad thing. So in both cases, whether you're stealing and sharing or stealing and keeping to yourself, it is still not good. We need to ensure that we tighten these institutions so that they are able to safeguard. Because one of the key functions of a government is to ensure that they equitably distribute the resources of the country. So all of us can be in government at the same time, but when people are in government, you are there to ensure that the resources of Zambia, be it from the taxes, the minerals and everything, agriculture, you put all those together and see, okay, now who gets what, where, when and how, and everybody else benefits as a Zambian.
All right, thank you so much, President Imboela, for that submission. And we get into our last segment. We're going to share, I think, a minute each, and then we conclude the program. Of course, I have in the studio the NDC President, Madam Savoy Imboela. Of course, next to her, we've got Adali Tembo, who is coming from the Citizens First as a spokesperson. And we also have Madam Olivia Piri, who is coming from the Socialist Party, the member of the Central Committee, as well as chairperson in charge of mobilization. And we are resource mobilization as well. We've got the last speaker, that's Madam Caroline Katoto, with there, who is representing the Center for Sustainable Democracy in Zambia. Let's look at the ongoing by-elections in the country. In the next few months from now, or 1 year, we'll be having the general election. But let's look at the performance of your opposition political parties in comparison to the ruling party as well. The opposition has, the ruling party has been winning these by-elections, parliamentary by-elections, be it ward level. I think they've performed well where securing these seats are concerned. Where do you think as NDC you've gone wrong? And to be specific, you yourself, why has your party not been participating in these by-elections?
First of all, by-elections are very costly and very necessary. You know, I talked earlier on about being a strong proponent of proportional representation. It also caters to that. It stops by-elections. I think progressive countries don't have the kind of...
why are you in politics? And then you are telling us that come next year, you are going to kick out President Hakainde Hichilema.
That is why I'm saying by-elections are not a measure. Are you getting the point? By-elections actually are a measure of poverty in a country. Are you getting the point? And that is why you have seen that even now, when the place is so remote, they'll vote for the ruling party. When they're a little bit urban, they'll, you get the point. And I always say that the by-elections, normally, the ruling party wins in the last 48 hours. I saw this under the PF and I'm seeing this under the UPND. You go there on the ground as opposition, you campaign, you do everything. The ruling party will come in. Okay? They'll come in, they'll use DMMU, they'll use all sorts of things. CDF, they'll use social cash transfer, and they tell all the old women and the men and all, people, the vulnerable people, to say, you don't vote for the ruling party. To put your sign for social cash transfer. And they go in, your own chairperson of this and that, and say, you know what, was that Chosa? You get the point. So that is what happens. Moving forward, I think after 2026, let us govern ourselves properly as Zambia. Let's do away with the by-elections. By-elections are very, very costly. If we had the proper governance system like the PR, for example, when you vote for a political party, you find that within that 5 years, because you've given them a 5-year mandate, if there is a sickness or somebody has resigned or whatever, or even when they underperform, in a PR system, you're able to recall that person and you put in another person. But in Zambia, sadly, because of a bad governance system, even when you vote for people and they're underperforming, this is 2021 and they're saying, in 2026. Right now, our hands as Zambians are tied. We're just waiting for 2026. It should not be like that. Let's have a proper governance system whereby when you come in, okay, you come in, you know, to say these political parties have been given these mandates. As NDC, for example, we have not been participating in these elections because of the issue of the faction. By the way, there's one time when we just participated, when I told my party members to say, we don't have money for this by-election, but we're going to participate, just to remind people who the real NDC is, okay? And we participated basically for that reason, because I know the other people that claim to be NDC, they can't participate in any election because they don't have, you know, the legal standing to participate. They're just there, they make noise sometimes here, and now they've even stopped making noise, I think. Yeah, but for me, I just told my party members to say, let's just remind them who NDC is. And we went in and we participated,
right?
You know, and so much money is being spent in these by-elections, trust me, and it's so unnecessary, right. You know, like I've said. The ruling parties normally win by elections. If you remember the PF started even winning seats in Western Province and Northwestern Province, which were the strongholds of the UPND. But when the general election came in, they lost. So the MMD was winning by elections before the 2011 elections. But came even in PF strongholds, came 2011, PF won. Okay, same with the PF. They started winning even in the UPND strongholds before 2021. Come the elections, the general elections, they lost. So even now, the ruling party, the UPND, will go out there and they do have the resources.
Right.
And they will splash the money. And the people that have not seen 100 kwacha for a very long time, they'll go in and they'll vote. And sometimes you find that these are rural people, they tell them, "Mwemuja muchani, mukabuthi muzankala ma camera." So we'll be seeing you in terms of how you vote. We go in as opposition and we tell them, there are no cameras, you know, whatever. We were in Nyimba the other time. A day before, that's when we realized that the ruling party had gone in and they were telling people to say, ukavotera ruling party, ink is a change. Isankara green. I don't know what they were saying. Ukavotera opposition, ink is a karakarina. You get the point? And people are believing this. You get the point? And for me, when I, again, keep on talking about us governing ourselves properly, they say that uneducated people are very easy to rule. So sadly, as Africans, we have made it very fashionable to keep our people uneducated so that we govern them or we rule them, because this is not even governance, so that we rule them easily, you know. Because if somebody is going to believe that ruling party red, green, you're dealing with the people, for example, that is supposed to be helping instead of asking for a vote.
Can the UPND maintain these parliamentary seats they have won in the recent past come 2026? What is your prediction?
The UPND actually lose a lot of seats. Okay? And I'd actually, let me even say this, not just the UPND, a lot of MPs will lose their seats come 2026 because a lot of people are underperforming. All of us are concentrating on politics. We are not concentrating on governance. No wonder I've said, for me, I've changed my plan. I'm not going to sit here and talk about, political, this, political. Yes, I'm a politician, I'm going to talk about politics, but let's talk about governance. By nature, governance is political. When I say that who gets what, when, where, and how, it's one of the definitions of politics by one philosopher who said politics is about who gets what, when, where, and how. You know, so when you are a politician, a government leader, it's about distributing what are the women going to get, the persons with disabilities. Southern Province, what is their share? Northern. So your job as a politician is to redistribute the wealth of the country.
Right.
So that is political in nature. But on top of that, it's about governance. How do you ensure that there's good governance, that the person in Shangombo, the person in Chadiza, where Madam Piri is aspiring to stand as an MP, is able to get what it is that they deserve? You know, those are the kinds of things that we need to start talking about, not about this. Because no wonder now we're even failing to bury each other, you know, because because we are so bitter with each other. We have taken away the humanity. We have forgotten that we only have one Zambia. We'll never go anywhere else. One Zambia, one nation.
I want you to take that as your closing remarks. because I will not come back to you. Yeah, please submit as we go.
Okay.
Yeah.
As I conclude, we are one Zambia, one nation. UNIP had a proper national building agenda. In fact, the one Zambia, one nation that we've come to embrace as a national slogan was actually a UNIP slogan as a political party. When it came to social cohesion, they had a proper program, which of course, as NDC, we have also in our manifesto. Even certain industries that we talk about, the slogan of NDC is job creation through industrialization. When we begin to embark on a massive industrialization program, we want to do what the UNIP government, for example, did, whereby UIP, we shall make sure that you go away from Southern Province or Northwestern. So that wakwatira kwa barozi wakazi. Or just an example, Mrs. Beauty, if you're there, I'm just giving an example to say a Bemba man should be taken to Southern Province or Northwestern or wherever, okay? A Lozi person is taken to Eastern Province. So you have that proper cohesion. A proper national building agenda has been lost, I think, from MMD up to now. And as politicians, we need to get back to that. We are failing to develop this country because we don't love each other. Because we are not united. If I don't love you, innocent, no matter what you do, whether it's good and bad or bad, I'll condemn it or we're going to fight over it. And sadly, that's where Zambia is as a country. The hate is too much. It does not matter who you are and what you're doing and what you stand for. If I hate you, I hate you. The cyberbullying right now is bad on social media. You know, they don't care. And for some of us, sometimes they read something you have written, they interpret it as red.
Yeah.
So the green will come after you. Sometimes you write something, they interpret it as green, and the red will come after you. And then you remind them, I am orange. You get the point? I'll keep on emphasizing that I am NDC, I am orange, and I stand for this country. And whatever is right, and what is wrong is wrong.
Right.
So Zambians, let us love one another. Let's unite. If there's one thing that we should take away from the death of President Hichilema, is the fact that we need to start afresh as a country.
Right.
And I've said this on social media to say, one of the reasons why it has been so difficult to bury President Hichilema, in my opinion, is because we are burying more than a man. We are burying an era. You know, there's a certain era that we have to bury, and sadly it's being difficult because from the legacy of Hichilema and from the legacy of President HH, there are two things that have intertwined. Are you getting the point? Yeah. Which, as a country, we should look at them as if one was father and mother. When your father and mother are arguing, you don't come in as a child and you're there, you're even in the forefront of now trying to take over. You say, for a person like me that has worked with both President HH and President Hichilema, two parents that I've really loved, you get the point? I've got no reason to hate any one of them. But out there, for the Zambians, that's what our politics have come to. Right. It's about hating this one and loving this one, or loving this one and hating that one. You can't do both.
Thank
you get
you
the
so
point.
much, President,
Yeah.
for that. Your assessment over the recent by-elections, of course, the main of these seats have been won by the UPND. Then later on you get into your closing remarks.
Okay, thank you so much, IP. For Citizen First, the Central Committee of Citizen First have looked at the by-elections as a way of mobilizing the party, getting to the grassroots. So for us, even when we go into a by-election, be it that we win, we get many votes, it is a plus that structures are being made there. And our presence is being felt that side, because this is something that we had to sit down and say, when we go into by-elections, we are going to register our presence. We are going to use that period of campaigning to be able to sell our party, be able to tell the people about what Citizen First is. Citizen First, a party that centers on the prosperity of the Zambian people, because we want to tell the people, like President Savoy has said, you know, it's time we move from this bitterness in the politics to politics of getting the people involved. Citizen First. Be the people to be the ones that should be considered first in the governance of this country. Let the people air out what they want and understanding. I believe you've seen us participate in many of these by-elections. We go there and most of the other people would want to judge us to say you've gotten less votes and all that. Yes, we've gotten less votes, but the biggest win that we have as Citizen First is we've registered our presence there. We've had our structures. You'll find the UPND have won won that seat in there, but can we go there? Do they have those structures? No. Why? Because they've concentrated on the resources that they have. They've got the finance, they've got the human power, they've got the availability of these vehicles, the government vehicles. Or, I'll give an example like it was in Mutilizi, where we had all 15 DCs of Eastern Province go in and camp in Mutilizi just to make sure that they win the election. Look at all that resource going into one ward just to win that election. But we went there with the little resources that we had. We got in there, we registered our presence, and whatever vote that we had there, even today, people are calling us, telling us, Citizen First, we know you. And let me put it on record today that word in Mutilizi, that the first political leader that had to get into that word from the time of Kaunda currently, that was President Hichilema. He has registered his presence. His presence was felt. Even today, people are calling. We are very humbled. You may not have won the elections, but you coming here, you coming to be with us, understanding the challenges that we are facing. Your presence, humbling yourself to come and be with us as a people, that is a plus for us as Citizen First. I would say that in MMD, they would win all the by-elections. Right. Lupia Banda won all the by-elections. Look at the money that was all over. The Ligaria was everywhere. But he was fired. MMD was fired, PF was fired, even this same UPND will be fired, and it will be at the discretion of the people who are the majority that are suffering, that are feeling the pinch of the high cost of living, who are feeling the pinch of the many challenges that are being faced. Let me tell you one thing. Health.
As you close.
Yeah, as I'm closing. Issues to do with the health of a person, it's very critical. Right. There are a few that will manage in terms of the health facilities in the high institutions. But let us look at that person that is seated in Chalumbe, Eastern Province, Chipangali constituency. He's depending on the health care that was taken away from them because of the carelessness of failing to manage a system that is needed. Already from that person has made a decision. And we as Citizen First, we are guaranteed going back into the ground, speak with the people, reason with the people, feel the pain of them going through that, and give them hope to say, when we come into power, we want to make a change to this system that has been going there. We correct the system and bring in the best governance that should be there for the better of the citizen, prosperity for the Zambian people.
Interesting. Thank you so much, Madam Tembo. Let's hear from Comrade Olivia there, from Socialist Party.
Actually, to us as Socialist Party, I think we've participated in all the by-elections.
Yeah.
I think except Lumezi, where we went in to support, I think, our fellow opposition. I think we're supporting the candidate for Trans Alliance. First and foremost, it's very sad, comrade, that the people of Zambians were deprived the leadership that they elected in 2021 in most cases. And in this case, I'm talking about members of parliament. Right. I think we have seen unprecedented nullification of seats due to pettiness, due to hatred, like I think everybody has said, due to grab the seats to get numbers to change certain laws in parliament, which is so sad. I think at that, we pray that 2026, the next government, as Socialist Platform's government, that should not actually repeat itself. Where death is concerned, it's necessary to hold by-elections. Right. But it's very sad that there have been constituencies where people chose the leader, and then today they are given a leader, all because of the wrong governance system that we have. So to tell you the truth, comrade, these various victorious win of these seats actually are not genuine. Right. They're not genuine, and they're not a reflection of popularity on the land. I think we know the reality. The people are suffering. When you go to Chadiza today, what is on the ground, and what we hear on social media, and I think from those in leadership, it's so amazing that are they pretending or they don't know?
So you don't believe that the UPND may return a number of these seats?
I'm getting to that.
Right.
These results that you see are systematic abuse of state machinery. Comrade, I'm not talking because I have been in all these master by-elections. I'll give one example. Before I get to Rumezi, there was one incident where they brought in fertilizer. It was during, I think, the rainy season. like I think the President Sawai has said, where they're taking advantage, I think, of the ignorance of the people. I think what to come back to Umbuli actually it has become a crime because a lot of people have been deprived to do the right thing, and they're being manipulated. So while in Wansabombo, where they bring in the farming input and say, here, if you do not give us a council, we'll take back the farming input. Comrade Automatic, a farmer who has been told this is here for free and all that, they were voting for the farming input. So what are we saying also? The biasness of ECZ, the conduct, the way they conducted themselves. Comrade, some of us in Kawambwa, we escaped death. The violence that is there in the by-election is true, comrade. It has not improved from the previous, it has continued. Okay, and the sad part, I will not talk about PF because PF most have not participated. Us SP have been a victim of political violence in these by-elections that we've participated. We've gone to ECZ to report. And where an opposition report a crime, it's ignored. When the UPND report, they will arrest even the victims that have been victims. Comrade, we've had those incidences. Our president was attacked in Serenje, where we have a rally, it's clear it's our day. We come in, cause confusion, before we know it, our president was being arrested. And they manipulated, there's a case going on, which is so funny, comrade. So the biasness of the ECZ, the traditional leaders' intimidation. Also, it is happening, comrade. This is not a lie. There's vote buying, comrade. People are given 150, and the voters card are being grabbed. It's happening. It's not a lie. So those that have not been in by-elections, they'll think we are dreaming or we're just like painting back, it is there. And even the people of Lumez can bear with me witness, everywhere we've had those by-elections. To some extent, I think there was a complaint recent. I think it was Citizen First that complained, I think it's always. And this is it said, if you think your friends are buying, why can't you? I think there was that statement.
Yeah, there is.
To me, really, comrade, it is
Yes.
worrying. And we are not going to do an eye for an eye.
Yes.
It's going to make this country better. Comrade, the media blackouts on the opposition, the attack on the media during these by-elections. So, you know, a lot is going on, and it's sad that the UPND had an opportunity to get their popularity genuine. And they're using this state machinery against an opposition that has nothing. Evidence is there everywhere, comrade, where ministers are dishing out. When you go in a by-election, like especially, was it in Kawambwa? The other one, what is one next to Kawamba?
Pambashi.
You have 15 ministers coming in with money, using government vehicles, everything, all that. Who are they deceiving? So to me, as Zambian, it's easier, like everybody has said, to win a by-election for a ruling government. But it's not easy to win a general election. And that which has been painted, it's not genuine. Those victories are actually not genuine, and it's sad that we pray that 2026, especially those of us that are standing, especially as women, it gives us fear because also it comes with the violence. It has also brought vote apathy because of the same violence. People are staying away. Okay, so a lot is happening, and these by-election, to me, I would call them robbing seats from the citizens that chose a leader from the general election, or because you want numbers to change certain clauses in parliament. It's known, it's a fact. Yeah, those that may not want to believe, I leave it to them, but that's what it is. It's all about getting numbers in parliament, which shouldn't be.
You may conclude.
In my conclusion, comrade, President Hichilema had an opportunity, I think, using the death of ECL. If he had provided leadership and wisdom, I think today as a country would have not landed where we are. We are a mockery. Zambia actually has been known as a country where all the countries would run to resolve issues. I don't know what will happen after this, whether anybody is going to look at us for any problem that they have, because we have failed to resolve a very simple issue of a person that has died. Yeah, so to me, that issue was, I think, the failure of leadership from those that needed to, and also wanting to use too much power because I'm so powerful. I think, like others have said, to me, that man would have been buried had everything that was agreed being followed. And I want to state very clear that it is sad where we have reached to get to court. Look at the mockery that is going on in the media. The issue of even audios being leaked of people that we respect, that we trust, and hearing what is being discussed behind that is very sad. and not taking responsibility to that. So to me, in my conclusion, comrade, it's my appeal to the government. I'll talk about the CDF in Chadiza. CDF, in as much as it is being preached to have done wonders, the people of Chadiza are still crying. Comrade, as at December, the people of Chadiza had not received the 7 million, they only received, I think, 10 million. Why do I say that, comrade? Whenever I'm in the constituency, I interact with the councils. I interact with the councillors. What has made also this CDF fail is the presidential directives on certain projects, because constituencies differ. The problems of Chadiza cannot be the same problems of Lusaka Central. I'll give an example. When the presidential directive was given to buy police vehicles, like those CDF vehicles, Chadiza needed an ambulance. Up to today, an ambulance has not yet arrived. Right? I think there was a promise from a PS who was supposed to resign by February. If they don't arrive, it has not happened. And the people of Chadiza are still waiting. When is the ambulance coming? Because that money was bought, is it
Thank you so much.
CDF fund. So to me, CDF would call it as a scam in some way because it has been mismanaged.
Right.
And then when you look at CDF, it was there earlier. And how it was managed previously did more work than it is, because what they simply did was to move most of the work to be done by central government and put them in CDF, which today, it cannot heal everything. And when people are talking about CDF has done wonders, I don't know what to blame.
Your final word? What is your final word?
My final word? Yeah, my final word is actually to call Zambians as we go to a polls in 2026. Please, I think, let us choose a leader that is going to unite this country, a leader that is going to heal this country, because I think Zambia right now, we have that hatred that needs to heal.
Right.
And I think from 2021, the hatred became worse than it was previously. Because it's now even a crime to interact with people, even those in UPND, some of our friends tell us that they can't see you with you publicly because they'll be perceived and all that.
Right.
So we need to heal, and we call upon every well-meaningful Zambians to pray. 2026 election is about, we need to ask God to help us.
Thank you so much. Let's hear from Comrade Katotowe.
Thank you so much, Innocent.
Yeah. As we talk about the by-election, then later on, I'll usher you into the conclusion.
Yes, so the takeaway for the by-election is simple for me, and I think it's simple for Zambians. Zambians are hungry for a message that will change the face of Zambia as a country, and of course trickle down to individual level. It is unfortunate that up until now, what we are getting as Zambians has been character assassination of the current president, and very little to nothing on what opposition political parties are offering to the Zambians. It's the easiest thing, Innocent, I'll tell you this, to identify a problem. It doesn't take you to be an expert, a researcher, a genius to see that maybe there's a problem, or to claim that there's a problem. I think these are things that anyone can do or say. What is hard is solution. And this is what the electorate are asking for. Can we stop this unison chorus? Imagine, Innocent, in your field as KBN, every time you're given your 1 minute to market your station, on your lips is your competitor. You are indirectly selling your competitor. Can we stop this character assassination? It is HH this, HH that. What are you, as a political party, going to do differently? And for as long as political parties wear a blindfold and do not see reality, they will continue to fall short when it comes to win the masses.
Right.
Because I tell you now, the masses are not interested. They've seen it way too many times. Way too many times where politicians promise heaven on earth, but coming to delivery, nothing is happening. Even with the UPND, when they were ushered into power, the question that was there, unlike when we had the more money in your pockets, I think a lot of people during PF with the late Michael Sata ran with the slogan of more money in the pocket. there was very little in terms of how are we going to ensure, or are you going to ensure that there's more money in the pocket. With the UPND, the electorate was saying, how are you going to solve the energy crisis? Remember, the energy crisis was there in PF. How are you going to solve the high commodity prices? And the UPND provided a plan. These are things that are in public domain. They provided a plan, proper plan. We are yet to see that from the opposition. Right. What is the plan? And for as long as there is no plan provided to you and me as an electorate, we will not see change.
Right.
I agree on the aspect of losing
Some of the seats.
some of the seats. Yes, thank you, yes. I agree. And this is because it has been counterproductive for some members of parliament to delve into politics at the expense of the people that put them in those offices, to who their allegiance lies. Their allegiance lies first and foremost, not to the political party, but to the people that ushered them. And they are negating that fact. So what are we saying? We are saying members of parliament saying, no, we are folding our arms because this CDF apparently is a flagship of some sort of UPND.
Do you think we have got a viable opposition in Zambia today which can give a hard run or a tough run to the UPND government or President Hakainde Hichilema? If an election was to be called today, when you check through, when you skim through, do you see a viable opposition?
Not at all. Unfortunately so, Innocent. And this is the worst we've seen it. Right. I'm telling you, I've followed politics from the unit days to the multi-party system with MMD and to PF and now UPND. There was always one crop, not even one leader in opposition, but one crop of various options. Right. There was always, we had the Edith Nawakis, we had the Ben Wheelers, we had the General Mianda, we had General Christon Tembo. We've always had certain people that were presidents in waiting. And here's the thing. Of course, we talk about, we can't forget the late Anderson Mazoka. We had Michael Sata. We had the entire crop. Right. Here's why it was different then to now.
Right.
In as much as they went in to some extent, looking at the character of the incumbent leader, they did not apportion so much energy to assassinate the current president, but apportion so much energy to sell their ideas.
Right. You can give your concluding remarks.
In conclusion, I would like to say to Zambians, but before I address Zambians, I would like to say to the opposition political parties, please be open.
And I'm sure they are listening. They are here. Talk to them. Let me stand up as you address them. I'll stand up.
It was three of them. This advice, when I'm wearing my other cap, Innocent, on a lighter note, comes at a fee as a consultant.
Interesting.
As a political strategist. But in this case, I'm giving it free of charge.
Right.
Please go back to the drawing board. Remove all the excuses and look within your internal politics. How organized are you, first and foremost? Let's start from there. As political parties, you need to be organized to win an election. Then a step further, how am I protected? Am I protected?
Comrades, you are being lectured here, so please continue.
Yes.
You are protected.
Am I protected?
You are protected. So let's give a chance to conclude. We
As
go.
I was concluding, before we even speak of alliances, you can't have destabilized political internal affairs and expect to gel as an alliance. It's impossible. It's a miracle. And miracles
only happen with God. You are just man.
Right.
So as man, put your house in order. Zambians are yearning for proper leadership, not the circus, not the clown.
Right. Thank you so much, Madam Caroline Katotoe. We appreciate you. Comrades, allow me to thank all of you for coming through. I mean, we don't take your time for granted. I know by now you'd have been with your children, your grandchildren, and everybody else. Thank you so much, President Savoy.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. I normally tell that UPND doesn't have women that represent them. As I leave this, I'll call them and say, you have a UPND member. but we shall talk after this.
That's President Savoy now trying to start a fight. She's not a UPND.
Now that the conversation is over, now the conversation has finished. After, behind the cameras, I suggest a UPND, please. There's a woman here.
All right. You are protected, yes. Madam Tembo, thank you so much. We appreciate you as well from Citizens First, and wish you all the best.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Comrade Olivia Piri, we also appreciate you for coming through, and we don't take your time for granted.
I'm happy to meet a powerful man from UPND.
I am too.
Otherwise, Caroline as well, I appreciate you for coming through. And wish you all the best with your organization.
Don't take this lightly. Thank you so much. Pleasure.
Thank you. Of course, I've been hosting the four powerful ladies in the studio this evening discussing national matters. I was being joined by President Savoy Imboela, leader of the NDC, and also Madam Olivia Piri, who is coming from the Socialist Party, and also Madam Caroline Katotoe as well. She's representing the Center for Sustainable Democracy in Zambia. And of course, not forgetting the Citizens First spokesperson, Madam Tembo Dalitso. Thank you so much on behalf of all those that have been managing to send in those messages via our social media platform. We shall go through and check what you've been sending over this program. May God bless Zambia. May God bless Mother Africa. Good night. You may have to greet each other.